Hello.
Hello, Mr. Sidhu. How are you?
From this boardroom in the Bowdoin Federal Prison in Alberta, Jaskirat Singh Sidhu is making his case to stay in Canada.
I just want one chance so I can give back to the community and show that I'm not a bad person, bad human being. I'm just like everybody else.
But he's not like everyone else. Sidhu will be forever defined by a deadly mistake, blowing through a stop sign with his semi-truck and double trailer, colliding with the Humboldt Broncos hockey team bus, killing 16 people and injuring 13.
I apologize to every single Canadian. I apologize to every single people in this country. I apologize to all the family members.
Sidhu's lawyers won't let him talk about what happened on April 6, 2018, because he's named in civil lawsuits. But he does describe his recurring nightmare.
I can see the dead bodies. I can see the people crying. I can see the kids crying. I can see the first responders there. I can see myself standing there alone in the cold. And yes, everybody. So that's like it's a scene of the devastation that was caused by me. I can see that around myself.
In his criminal trial, Sidhu pled guilty to all charges against him. He did not ask for a deal or appeal his 8-year sentence, the longest one ever in Canada for dangerous driving not involving drugs or alcohol. But now, as a permanent resident serving a sentence for a serious crime, he's fighting deportation.
So tell me about this picture.
When Tanveer Mann misses her husband, she pages through their wedding albums. She and Sidhu got married in India just 3 months before the crash. When they got back, Sidhu took the trucking job to pay for her schooling.
I never wanted him to do this because it's one of the most difficult jobs out there.
Mann recalls that fateful evening, waiting for hours to hear from him. Then, when he finally called,
I remember he told me that he made a big mistake. I turned my laptop on and it was disaster. And I just couldn't believe that that happened because of him.
Mann doesn't want to hurt the families, but feels she must speak out on behalf of her husband.
He is a very simple and generous man who should be given a chance to stay in Canada because he did not intend to hurt anybody at all.
The only reason he's fighting deportation, she says,
I am involved with him. If he was alone, he would have gone back.
So what do we have here?
So these are our submissions.
That's one of the arguments Sidhu's immigration lawyer is making.
He has, on paper, it would sound like a good case because he doesn't have a criminal history. This was one incident that was clearly not premeditated. He's extremely remorseful.
Michael Green made his case to the Canada Border Services Agency officer who is preparing a report that will either send Sidhu to a deportation hearing or recommend an exception be made.
He's never going to get in a truck again. He's probably never going to drive again, but he's not somebody that we need to be afraid of.
Sidhu is getting support from a few of the Broncos' families. Scott Thomas still coaches minor hockey. It helps him feel close to his son, Evan, who died in that crash.
Well, I know he's always close. I know he's there with me, and I can feel his energy.
As part of their healing journey, Thomas and his wife met with Sidhu to tell him they forgive him. They also wrote a letter supporting his bid to stay in Canada. They believe it's what their son would want them to do.
You know, I think empathy and compassion go a long way. You know, while the result of his actions were violent and criminal, this wasn't by nature a violent crime. He didn't set out that day with the intent to cause harm. It was just a horrible, tragic accident, and it's our opinion that deportation doesn't need to be the necessary end to this.
But most other Broncos families vehemently disagree.
The city of St. Albert had approached our families and said they wanted to put benches in the community to honor our Bronco boys that were affected here in the St. Albert area.
Logan Hunter and Jackson Joseph spent hours playing shinny at this outdoor rink.
He couldn't get enough. He couldn't get enough.
It's why their mothers, Andrea Joseph and Shauna Nordstrom, spend so much time here. But it's bittersweet.
A lot of times people think that time makes the pain go away. But if you count, it's been 3.5 years, 365 days. You add those days up. That's hard.
Risks were too great.
They're speaking out now because of promises they made to their sons to fight for justice.
Consequences of these actions is deportation. And that is the only solution here for us to even get to a layer of healing.
They say Sidhu made mistakes before running that stop sign. For example, he had 70 driver logbook violations in the 11 days before the crash.
It's not about forgiveness. Forgiveness should not change the laws in our country.
And if he was remorseful and felt really bad for killing 16 people, you would go back to your home country without a fight.
They say Sidhu's life will go on, even if he's deported to India.
He has a wealthy family at home with a big farm. He has a future there.
But their boys don't have a future.
And we miss our boys. We miss their smiles. We miss their laugh. We miss their hugs.
We just want justice.
Most recent ones I have received.
Back in prison, Sidhu gets comfort from letters like these, Canadians sending words of support.
You know, we've talked about forgiveness a little bit. Have you forgiven yourself?
How can you forgive yourself? Because you are the one person who has caused this much pain to everybody. I can't hide from my own self. So it's with me for my whole life.
Just as it will be for the families of the Humboldt Broncos victims. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Calgary.